Welcome. David Wiss here, registered dietitian, founder of Nutrition and Recovery. Today we're going to talk about food politics. If there's one topic which gets me excited above and beyond the rest, this is the one. Today I'm going to give you some truth. Research is an iterative process. Good science corrects itself with better and more complete explanations over time. Sometimes it's described as a moving target because yesterday's truths are often tomorrow's fallacies. And the question of today is, can the research process be manipulated? The hierarchy of evidence suggests that at the bottom we have case reports and other cross-sectional data, which is just looking at one moment in time. We have retrospective studies and prospective studies, and then we have experimental data, which uses a control group. At the top, we have systematic review and meta-analysis, which brings together all of the data to draw more firm conclusions. Government-issued guidelines are built on rigorous evidence, including systematic review. They inform people's food choices and represent national food policy. But the question is, are they really about public health, or are they also about corporate profits? What if the evidence is biased? What if it's flawed? And what if the bias trickles through the entire systematic review process? We're starting to see the issues of conflict of interest coming up in nutrition. It's been around in the medical and pharmaceutical world, but now it's becoming an important topic. A 2007 review of 111 industry-funded studies showed that the funding source was significantly related to study conclusions. This is an important form of bias that we need to know about. Researchers that work with universities do have a code of conduct, but oftentimes when it comes down to it and money and jobs are at stake, the code of conduct is not enough. We know that when industry funds nutrition-related scientific articles, there's a bias towards conclusion in favor of their products, and this can significantly impact public health. When people ask me nutrition questions, I often say, well, let's follow the money. The current climate of nutrition research world is that it's expensive to do research, and without data, you don't have science. And so the funding comes mostly from the food industry, and they have an agenda. In fact, they have an obligation to their shareholders to produce profits. And so they have lots of funding to promote their bottom line. This blew my mind. This is the systematic review of systematic reviews, which showed that those with financial conflicts of interest were 5 times more likely to present a conclusion of no positive association between sugar-sweetened beverages and obesity than those without them. This starts to draw attention to the possible inaccuracies in scientific evidence funded by industry. What we're talking about today is public-private partnerships and how this can affect public health. There's a lot of bias that can sneak into the research process. One is how the questions are asked and how studies are conducted, how conclusions are reported, and certainly lack of transparency. To really understand the food companies' strategies, we've looked at what the tobacco companies did during their period of planting doubt when concerns were raised and criticizing research that potentially hurt their industry. They always tend to focus on personal responsibility and have a script that we're seeing used by the food industry. In order to reduce bias, we need refined methods for evaluating the studies and systematic reviews. We need better policies for disclosure. We need registries with detailed methodology. We need to address neglected topics, replicate results, and reduce corporate sponsors from driving the research agendas. So that means we need more government funding, more independent funding, and third-party evaluation. When funding dries up, scientists can often turn to industry, and this can be problematic. The nutrition research world has not yet faced the same kind of scrutiny as medicine. The full effect of industry conflict and financial conflicts of interest remain hidden. So much of the nutrition research out there appears to be more like marketing than it does like science. The question is, should nutrition researchers and professional societies accept funding from food companies? And Marion Nestle says, not without careful thinking. So this is an important topic. And a lot of my clients come in with lots of different evidence that they've read and different blogs, etc. And one of the things I teach people to do is to actually start consuming less nutrition information, because oftentimes the nutrition guru is within. It already exists. It's just been blocked. So it's time to get unblocked and start accessing our internal navigation system. There's a wide range of ways that people can eat, and don't get lost in research that really just is designed to sell products. The food industry continues to deny responsibility. They fund research which exonerates themselves from public health concerns. They always stress individual responsibility and circle back to the same old messages. They influence nutrition policy and control the public discourse around health. So we need to galvanize and start to demand truth. We need to question stuff that we hear. My personal food philosophy is that all foods fit, but not all foods fit for all people. And just because the food industry manufactures it and sells it, it does not mean that we have to include it. If you have questions or comments about this, please reach out. I would love to hear from you.